Okay, I've got 1 minute after, and we have a lot to get to today. So let's get started, and people can continue joining as we get going. I am Jim Brandt with Request Tracker, and today we are here to talk about Request Tracker 6. So the latest version, it is out and available now. So we've made updates to the UI, sort of enhanced different areas with performance, added some great new features. And really, if you look at all of it, there's hundreds of changes included in this release. You can look at the release notes if you really want to see all the details, or even go look at GitHub. But today we're going to show you some of the big ones, some of the stuff that you'll notice as a user, and some of the things that hopefully will make things a little bit easier and more productive as you use RT. So starting off with just the UI, when you first take a look at RT6, and if you were working in RT5 or you're just looking at it to try it out, it may not look like there's a lot of big changes. And it's true that we did not create a new theme. We kind of evolved the existing theme. And if you go back and look at very older RT, we used to create like kind of a much bigger change in terms of the theme. This time we kept the theme, but we changed a lot of things in the UI that you don't notice right away, but put together just makes RT feel a lot more modern. So one of the things that we did is we changed the fonts. So in RT5, we actually had a custom font that we used to load as part of just using the interface, and that would load on every platform. Whatever you use, that's the font that you would get. When we upgraded to Bootstrap 5, what we decided to do is use Bootstrap's function for deciding which is the best font to display. And the default fonts, we actually looked, they were very similar, so it was not a big change there. But what it does is, depending on the platform that you're on, so if you're on Linux or you're on Windows or if you're on mobile, desktop, whatever, Bootstrap has some features. They look and they try to use the font that the platform most wants to use. So you should get a font that sort of presents the best on the platform that you're looking on. So that's one of the reasons that we switched to that. Is just to kind of get the best experience for whatever it is that you're viewing RT and using RT on. The other thing we did was we changed the size a little bit. So if you just look at the sizing of just the fonts and then things like the buttons and things like that, they're going to look bigger in RT6. And we actually tried the defaults for Bootstrap are a 16 point, and we actually tried that, and it seemed a little bit too big to us. So we actually backed that off by a percentage, a little bit, so that it's not actually the full Bootstrap default, but it is bigger than RT5. So again, just trying to go with sort of standards and things that are just consistent with other stuff that you see as you go around the web and look at other things. Some of the things that we did, highlighting, again, smaller change that you wouldn't see maybe right away, but we used to have sort of the alternate shading where every other row would be shaded, which was helpful. But now we kind of do the hover, and it's the whatever row. If you want to look at a particular row, you can just hover and it highlights that particular row. A little bit easier to focus on something if you have sort of a big listing of tickets that you want to look at. Let's click into a ticket here. One of the other changes that we made is just with the display of information, labels and values. So in the previous versions of RT, things were kind of horizontal. You'd have a label on the side and a colon and then the value. And now we've gone to what is, kind of just more standard around the web. And again, something that is a Bootstrap standard is having the label above the value, a little bit more highlight on the value. See, it's like a bigger font. So that's really what you care about, is like, what is the queue? What is the status? So the label's a little bit smaller. And this follows through into the edit mode as well. So when you go into edit, you can see the labels are a little bit smaller, kind of pushed off to the side so that the focus can really be on the content, which is really what you want to look at. So you'll see that kind of throughout RT, that treatment has been updated for all of the different areas where we present information. One of the other updates that we've made is in the date section. We have a different date picker. So if we go in and select and click, this is the date picker. We actually liked the one that we had in RT5. We thought it was, helpful, useful, familiar, but it had been a while since that had been updated, and we wanted to get something that was being a little bit more actively maintained. This is an external library that we pull in. Uh, we did try to use the default date pickers because browsers do provide that as a default. But we went through and we looked at all the different browsers were very different. So that was one of the things initially that was kind of confusing to us. And we just found that a lot of them just weren't really great. We didn't like how they sort of worked. We decided to go to a new date picker. And just before I get into that, there actually is a question, and I should say, go ahead and throw your questions in. We're happy to answer them as we go along. The question is there a way to preserve the label value of the old RT5? And no, there isn't a way to kind of go back to that. As you can imagine, it was kind of a big change to do that sort of throughout the system. There isn't like we don't have like a config option, for example, which sometimes we have done that in the past where we've like made something so that we've changed it and you can like kind of change it back for, but for that particular one, we don't have a way to sort of flip back to that. All right, great. Good question. Keep them coming. So back to the date picker. So we looked at the browser defaults, and again, we just didn't really like them. We thought that some of them just didn't work really well. Some of the browsers are better than others, but they were all different. So we found this one that we really liked. And if we go through, you can see it just gives you kind of the presentation of the month, similar to, kind of what we had before. You can pick a day. And then if it is a date and time field, you can go in and then it'll present you with time. If it's a date only field, which you can do with custom fields, you'll just do the date and then it'll close. So I can come in here, I can use the arrows, or I can just click on that for hours and I can just pick some time. Same with minutes over here. And then when you're done, you can just click the X and then you've got your value selected. It's kind of cool. You can go in also and it's going to default to the current month based on today, whatever today is. But if you do have the case where, oh, I want to, create a starts date out in July, you just click on the top and then you'll get your month view. And you can actually drill down this way. So if I go further into the years, it'll just keep going and then I can pick to kind of, scroll back out of that. So say I did want July, I would just pick July there and then pick my date and set it that way. So that is the new date picker. So that's kind of nice. And I think there might have been a question. Let's check that out. Ooh, a couple of questions. Let's see. Plans about a Docker image. Let's deal with that one later. That's kind of a technical question. Does the table row highlighting appear when a line has focus from the keyboard and not just on hover? Oh, that's a good question. Accessibility. And I don't know the answer offhand, but if I get into some search results, I'll try it later and check. So, and if not, we will take that one for later. That's a great question about. So to clarify, it's if you're highlighting from the keyboard and arrowing through, say, a list of search results, does the highlighting sort of follow that? And that's a really good question. And we'll test that out and see. Excellent. So keep the questions coming. Date picker we covered, and then if we go into drop downs is another area where we changed the library that we use for drop downs, and for similar reasons, is we wanted something that was a little bit more supported and something that worked with Bootstrap 5 as well. So you can see typical drop downs look like regular drop downs now, but the feature that we wanted, the reason you might say, well, why would you need a library for drop downs? It's just a basic browser function. It's for the autocomplete. We really like this look. So if I go to a dropdown that has a lot of values in it, it's really nice to be able to drop in here and search on things. So for example, if I pick a queue that's got some custom fields, I can add that. And I want to find those custom fields. I can just start typing, right? And that autocomplete function is really one of the things that we really like to get out of that out of the drop-down library is to make that easy. So when you get a really big drop-down, you can just do that quick typing and find the values that you're looking for. It turns out that the library that we picked for that drop-down thing also is the one that you can use for autocomplete. So if I go over here and I want to add some CCs, and I just want to start typing this autocomplete. This is actually the same library. So this gives us that same nice autocomplete type experience, and then I can sort of select values there. So we spent quite a bit of time playing around with the drop-down functionality on this. The library has a lot of different features, and we were just trying to make it work kind of as you expect. I think we got it. We had a lot of feedback from all of our internal testers, and we made a lot of sort of tweaks as we were doing our internal testing. And I think we got it now. I think you'll like the way all the drop downs work. But you can give us feedback on that as you start to get your hands on RT. Um, the question, oh, what library is it? It's called Tom Select. And it's kind of funny. If you do a search on it, you will get results on Tom Selleck, who was Magnum PI. So it has nothing to do with web coding, but it's kind of funny. Question about RTIR 6. We're actively working on it right now. So that will be out very soon. All right. So moving on, that's some of the Bootstrap changes. And light dark, this is just a note that this is a mode now. And again, this is also following the Bootstrap changes. So if I go into my preferences, so this is super popular, by the way, the dark mode that we added. So previously we had like elevator light, elevator dark, and that it was actually part of the theme. But the way Bootstrap kind of changed the way they handled dark mode as well. So we just followed that. So the theme stays elevator now. And if I want to do dark mode, it's just a theme mode. So you just would switch it to that and then save it. So dark mode is still there. Everyone can be happy, still available, but it is handled a little bit differently. And what we think this might make it a little bit easier if people have themes out there that they want to share. Maybe this makes it a little bit easier to have a dark mode to your custom theme that you have, the fact that it's kind of handled a little bit differently now. So that was one of the other changes that we made to, again, just align with Bootstrap 5 and how they do things. So when you first look at it, it seems like there's not a lot of changes, but there actually is quite a bit under the covers that we did. And it's stuff that you'll feel as you start to use the interface. And it just feels, again, more modern, up to date, using sort of all the latest sort of web stuff. The other thing that we did is another change that also is not immediately apparent when you start looking at it, but we integrated a library called HTMX, and this just allowed us to create all sorts of different new interactions that make RT feel a little bit quicker and also make things just sort of smoother as you go around because it feels a very integrated experience. It's kind of like if you use other applications what they call single page apps. It's kind of that type of experience. And you'll see this just as I'm doing all the sort of demos today as I click around, but there's a couple that I can show you that kind of point out some of the specifics that we're able to do with HTMX. So one is just how dashboards load. So as I'm clicking the home page here and I'm loading this dashboard and getting everything to load. Previously, when you did this in RT, it was a full page would go through and RT would process all of the different components on the page, all of those different searches, and then send it all to the browser. Typical sort of web interaction. Now what happens is the initial page loads and the boxes, each of these boxes, so all the widgets or components on your homepage, each of those loads and they actually load empty. And that's very quick, right? Because all it is basically a title. That's all that's really loading and it's an empty container. And then the browser makes another request and says, hey, give me my content. So go run my search for patching tickets by owner. Go run that search and give me the results of that search or whatever your different searches are down here. And then it loads in the content there. And it just makes the whole page feel like it's loading faster because that initial page pops, it's done, and then it's kind of loading in its content as it goes through. It's really hard to see. It happens really quickly. So what I've done to make it a little bit easier to see is I went in and added an artificial slowdown. So if you watch this My Reminders, when I reload this time, you'll see that actually has a little bit of delay on it, just to kind of show you what I mean, that they are all loading independently because they're all kind of loading really quickly. You can see the loading indicator pops up and then boom, then it finally loads in. So that's actually happening on all of the different components, but it's hard to see on some of them because they come in quickly, but that one you can kind of see. The other thing this allowed us to do is there's a feature that's kind of built in to the way those things load with HTMX, and sometimes it's referred to as lazy loading, is all of the components below the fold. So the stuff that we can't see that's lower down on this dashboard, they only load when I scroll down to see them. So when the initial page loads, the stuff that's down below actually doesn't load. So that's less work that the server has to do because the page hasn't even requested that content yet. So that should also give some speed up because you're not waiting for like my reminders or this patching tickets by owner for those searches down below, like you would in previous RT, because those aren't even running. They haven't even run yet. But as you start to scroll, it stays ahead of you and then it loads that content as you go through. And so far, I have not been able to catch it because your thought might be, oh, I'm gonna scroll and then I'm gonna see like a loading indicator, which it could happen, but I have not caught it yet. It stays ahead of you a little bit, and typically you don't even notice. Like you start to go down, and the stuff is just loaded. It just looks like it was always there. So it's implemented really well. It looks really nice, and again, you don't even notice, but it should save some resources on your server, which should just make everything feel a little bit faster because there's work that doesn't have to do, especially if you typically have your dashboards with your most important searches up at the top, right? Kind of makes sense. And maybe you load this page and then you just click on a ticket like right in that top section. That bottom section never even needed to load. And it's only going to load when, oh, now I need to scroll down and I want to go like my bookmarks. Maybe I want to go look at my bookmarks, right? So I scroll down and then it's going to be there. So all that is sort of made possible by HTMX and the changes that we made there. Another nice feature that was provided that we're able to implement through the library. If you look, we have this little reload now on all of these searches. So you can just click and it's just going to reload that particular component of the page, which is again really nice. If you have a search that's the one that the tickets are all getting updated in frequently, you don't need to reload the entire page. All you want to do is be, I want to see, or maybe it's this one, like the unknown tickets, right? I just want to see if there's new unknown tickets that have come in. So related to that reload function, now that you can do it on the individual component level, that's where we've also moved refresh. So you can see there's kind of a message here. So we used to have the refresh do the entire page. So you could come in, you could say every 2 minutes, refresh my page. I want to see if new tickets have come into, whatever, some queue that you watch, support or whatever it is. Now, if I just click into this and if I go to edit this search, the saved searches themselves have the setting for doing the refresh. So there's this options button now. If I click in there and I can say every 2 minutes, do this particular search. If I save that, we do an update. And then if I go back, now we can see that this message right here. It now says this particular search is refreshing every 2 minutes, but it's only this search. So I can keep this is the dashboard that I just watch every day and I see where new stuff comes in. I can have this just up on my browser sitting there, and that's just going to refresh automatically every 2 minutes. And it's not going to sort of reload the entire page on me. It's not going to like sort of jump the whole page, which was what the experience would have been in RT5. So really nice new feature for those pages where you do use that refresh feature. And you can do it on multiple if you want. So if you have two searches, oh, actually, I have it set on two. So if you have multiple searches and you want to have those set up, that's fine. So I guess if you had a page and you just wanted all of them to continue to refresh, you could do that as well to kind of re-implement the full page thing. But again, it's not going to reload the entire page as you go through. So really nice new feature there as far as how the reloads work. Other interactions that we had, and we did have some sort of Ajax stuff in RT5, especially with like inline edit, things like that. But it was extra work to add those. HTMX has made it easier, so we've actually implemented it for many more things. So if we just look at quick ticket create as an example, just going to do a testing ticket here. If I go down and I just do a create, you can see doesn't reload the entire page. I just get a message right here and it just reloaded the quick ticket create and it did not have to reload everything. So just super fast as you go through. So if you had, hey, I've got a checklist, I need to create 3 quick tickets for people to work on. Quick ticket is really quick now. So you can just go through and do those updates without, again, the whole page reloading. Similar, if we go through and just check out a ticket. So we did have, if you're using RT5, inline edit is there. But if you notice when you go into RT5 and you do your updates and you save, it actually does a page reload, which it's fast, but it does sort of, move the whole screen. So it's a little bit of extra work that it's doing to reload everything. And now with HTMX, we'll just make a few changes here. And you'll see when I save, and it does the reload, boom. Like it's just super fast, right? The component updates, it sends the updates. You see the messages come up, and it's just super fast. So these are all those little changes that just as you add them up throughout your day, all of your interactions with tickets, we think you'll find it, much, much faster, and you're not going to be sitting sort of waiting for the interface to come back. So some nice stuff provided by HTMX. Just checking the questions. Looking good there. All right. So HTMX, you'll see again, it's kind of behind the scenes, but you'll feel it as you kind of click around with all of your different interactions with tickets as you do things throughout RT. And again, this is implemented in all different places throughout the interface. Moving on. So the editor. So we've updated the editor also. So we've still use CK editor. So the editor, when I say that, is the screen that you use for all of your reply and comment. And actually, it's used in other places too. We'll see it more today as we go through. But this is the editor. And it's still CK editor, but we've updated to their latest version. And they kind of did a full rewrite. So CK editor 5 is really nice. A lot of changes from CK editor 4. So one of the ones that I really like is we do what we do a lot is so if I take this ticket here and if you click the comment down on the transaction, it quotes the value from the ticket. And we do this a lot where we just take the context so that people know like, hey, I'm replying to this particular question here. And if I just hit enter, it'll still be in the quoted section. If I hit enter one more time, it bumps me out of that and I can start my reply. So I can just do enter, enter, it jumps me down, and then I can start typing. So if you remember with CK Editor 4 in RT5, you would hover and they would kind of put a red line, and that worked because you could pick your spot to insert your cursor. But there were times when I would do that and I would end up inside the quoted section. And if you hit return, it was hard to get out of the quoted section. So I really appreciate how easy it is when you do the quoting to just return, return, and then you just start typing, and all is good once you do that. There's some other nice features. If you do, again, like if you're a keyboard focused person, I tend to be keyboard focused. You can do things like I can just do a caret like that and then a space, and it's going to jump me into a quoted section. You can do a thing like a star. If you just type an asterisk, space, and it's going to start doing bullets. So there's all sorts of little things like that just kind of built into the editor, which are nice. And if you kind of learn those, you can get really quick on the keyboard. There are other shortcuts. We put the accessibility help right in the menu bar. So you can click in here, and they call it accessibility help, but it's really just here's effective ways to use shortcuts in the editor, right? So all the different ways you can kind of do things with just the keyboard. So we think that's actually really helpful. In terms of the toolbar, we tried really hard to keep it down to just one row in the toolbar, just for space on the page, just for sort of screen real estate. But in RT6, all of the configuration that sets up how this toolbar is laid out and what buttons and options are in it are available through the RT configuration rather than doing it in JavaScript. So in RT5, in CK Editor 4, you could go in and mess with this, but you had to do it in a JavaScript file. It was a little bit tricky. We had to work with people a lot to sort of get that set up. So now that's available just through RT configuration. You don't have to mess with any external sort of config files, and you can set up exactly how you want this laid out. So that's much easier to change. So if there's some things that we've kind of put up inside some of these menus as a dropdown that you want just as a top level because like, oh, I do that all the time and I want that to be right in the menu. And you don't mind having, say, a second row, like a second menu bar. You can go in and update that configuration and make that look however you want. So that's really helpful as well. You can kind of really customize that for the buttons that you use a lot if you need to do that. So some other cool things is obviously all communication now needs the help of emojis. So now if you can just do a colon, and then if you know your emoji names, you can just start typing things. There's also a menu up here, so you can pick that and you can drop those things in. So that's really handy in the new editor. It's kind of nice. And also you can, if I have images, so this is another thing that's made possible by both things that we did in RT6, but also the functions in the editor. If I have something like a screenshot, say you're writing in and saying, hey, here's a bug or something, I can just grab screenshots. I can just pop them right in there. and then we can update the ticket, and those now just are inlined right in the history, and then it'll also go out in the email that way. So just drag and drop images, you can just pop those in there. There's also a couple other features you can put, like YouTube videos, if you want to allow that. There is a configuration to turn that off. I know some people run systems that are sensitive. They don't want like external content being loaded and things like that. So there is a way to turn it off, but by default, you can do things like that as well. Drop in like a link to a YouTube video or something like that, and it will render in there. So lots of cool things updated with the editor, and it just feels nicer. We've been using it for months, just day to day, and it just works really well. And a lot less. I found a lot less kind of extra kind of messing around to mess with formatting and things like that. It just seems to kind of just do the right thing. So really nice updates to the editor. Couple other things that's again a little bit in the background, but something to look forward to is CK Editor 5, when they redid things, they also created a plugin system. And the nice thing about that is extensions can now add different functionality into the editor. So this was something that previously, like there were some extensions in RT5 that wanted to do things in the editor, but you had to basically provide your own custom build of the entire editor, which could create issues. Like if we upgraded RT, did that need to be upgraded, and sort of questions about that. Now with plugins, you don't have to do all of that. And we're actually working on an AI extension right now that uses this mechanism, because some of the AI features are in the editor, and we're able to provide that through a plugin system and not have to completely replace the editor. So that's again kind of in the background a little bit, but something that could be useful as people create extensions. They're able to more easily interface. So that's another sort of technical feature in the editor that should be really useful for user features in the future as we go forward. New description field on tickets. So this is a new core field available on tickets. We don't mess with the core fields very much, but this is one that we had enough examples where we thought, it just would be really useful to have some place to store more information about whatever the meaning of that particular ticket is, right? So you always have subject, and you can put, a good description in the subject of, hey, this is what this ticket is. But often you have like just way more information than would fit in the subject. And of course, you could always do a custom field, but we just wanted something that was core, that would just be in the searches and just kind of be fully integrated with the system. So let's take a quick look, and we can see what that looks like in terms of that being a core field. So go in here, I have a queue with descriptions, and that's what it looks like. So you can have descriptions on here now, and if you click, and this is CK Editor. So this is the same editor that is used in other places. So this is rich text that you can add in here. So it's all formatted. So if you want to add, headings and bold and all kinds of stuff like that, you can do that as you add your content in here. You can also just, regular text, just type that and save it. And again, it's just a core field that's now available on tickets. It's also available through inline edit. So if I go in and we do a search, and if I pick that queue, and if I add description to the search results, you can see that that column is going to be available now. You can see if you have a lot of content, we kind of hide it so that if you do put a lot, like a big block of text in that description, it's not going to completely blow up your search results. But you can go into any of these, and you can see the pencil pops up, and you can go in and you can just edit right here and save. So if you have, a whole list of tickets that you need to go in and you want to make updates, you can just go right down the list and just edit, 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 and update all those as you go down. So really useful setting it up that way, and being able to go in and do your edits that way. We might have gotten some questions in, so check in here. Will images stay in line if we reply via email? If it's quoted, then yeah, it should be in the response that comes back in the email. So yeah, if you just did reply, and the image is down in the bottom, then it should still be in there. But that's a good question. I don't know if I've 100% tested that. So it should work, but that's a good something to try. Um, Yes, description is an internal field, so it is not like a comment or a reply. That's a really good question. So it is just, it's like subject, right? Like if you just change, or a custom field or priority or something like that. So if you change it, it's not going to automatically send email. We've thought about that, that people may want scripts to say on description change, send an update. So you could do that. But by default, it does not. It is just a regular ticket field, so you can update it, and like there's no side effects. Like no, it's not going to send email. It's not going to do any other bits. So you can just go through and do that. Oh, and we got a great question about if description is searchable. You're ahead of me, so hold that question, and we're going to get to that one in just a little bit because we're going to talk about search. So great questions. Love it. Um, so that is description. Again, just useful for the other case that we had was you would often put like a big block of text when you created the ticket, right? So that create transaction would be like way down here. I picked a short ticket, but a long ticket, there's a description way down at the bottom that this is the task, right? And then someone would update and say, "Oh, make this change." Right. This is a little bit different. All the stuff is right except for this one bit. It changed. And then it changed and then it changed. So for someone to get this ticket and be like, okay, what do I need to do here? They might have to read through kind of all of the history of the ticket, or they just would have to like scroll or, flip the history and get that create transaction. So what this does is just allows you to just have a field where you could go and just update it so that someone can come here and be like, okay, I know what needs to be done. It's right here, right? I can just look at this and I don't need to necessarily, the history is still there and all the changes to description are still in history. So just like any other field on a ticket, there's still all the audits, but it just allows you to have some one place to come and kind of look at things. If you don't want description, you don't have to use it. It just stays empty, stays out of your way. So if it's something that if you're in the camp of I didn't need that feature, you just don't have to use it, and it's not going to hurt anything. Um, so, good question about description. Someone has already been playing around with RT6 and they said they don't see it. We're going to get to that one as well. So, you guys are great. You're anticipating all of the things coming in in the future slides, which means you are really paying attention. Uh, so, yeah, so that's the new description field. And again, we'll see more in a few minutes as we go through. Another quick update, some changes to time tracking. So RT has always had time and time tracking on tickets, but there were a few features that it didn't have. And we actually had an extension that we had created years ago, and we did it with working with a customer, but then we ended up using it heavily internally. And one of the key things in the extension was having a different date on the time as you added it. So typically on previous just default RT like RT5 and earlier, you could come in and you could add time, but it would always put the time on the current day, like the day that you're recording it right now. And what often people want to do is, and I know that nobody on the call would ever do this, but occasionally people who are supposed to track time forget to track time, right? And you need to go back and say, oh, I need to add time for Monday. I need to add time for last week. And that's one of the key things that the extension added and is now core in RT6 is you can go in and say, oh, I want to add time for last Tuesday. I actually worked on this for an hour last Tuesday and I forgot to record it. So you can do that, you can save it, and what'll happen is the value gets recorded, not only the time that you worked, who worked it, but that the when it got worked, right? So it says it's on June 3rd. So this is actually recording it for, the previous day. So that's one of the key things that it adds. And there's a bunch of infrastructure to actually make that happen, but it's all in there in RT6. So it just allows you to be more precise about where you're tracking time. And, we use our RT when we do various types of customer work, and you actually want to, be more precise about, the days that you actually work to the time. Like, oh, last week, this is where I did all of this work. So that's a nice addition. And the other key thing that what was in the extension now core is this My Week. So if you go under Tools and go into My Week, it's basically like a timesheet type page. So it just has for the current week. There's some configuration, so you can set your start day for the week. So if you don't start on Monday or whatever, so there's some config that you can set for that. But what this does is it just pulls for you. So right now I'm just logged in as a root user, but for the current user logged in, it pulls two things, anything that you have time on, but you could see some of these actually have 0 minutes. So what it does is it actually looks to see what kind of tickets, any kind of tickets that you did any activity on. And it basically says, it looks like you replied on that ticket or you commented or you did something. So maybe you did some work. And this can be really handy for coming in and saying, oh, I did work on, this testing ticket and, I forgot to put my time on it. So you can just come here and just, save your updates and put your time on your ticket. So these zeros are just a helper to say, I think you did something here. And, maybe you want to go in and record some time on that. Um, let's see. Is there a way to associate time with a comment so you can document? Yeah. So what you would do, I don't know if this 100% answers the question, but yeah, what you would do is that time thing that I showed is also available on the update page. So if I go in here, it's right here. So what you could do is you can add a comment. So, uh, did the thing, and then you could set this. Now this transaction is still going to get recorded, now, like today, but the time will get recorded, correctly for whatever I put here, and they'll be next to each other in the history. So you would be able to look at it and be like, I did the thing, and it's on there. So they're kind of, you could see that they're together, right? So the date gets recorded on, this is the 10th, right? So I think that answers the question, right? That you can, when you're backdating and you're trying to not only say, oh, I forgot and I did work on Monday, you can also say, here's the work I did, right? And add that comment. So yes, you can kind of put those together. And that's a good point, is that it's available in several different places. So it's not just on the page, it's also on uh, the update page. So it's just in all the different places where you just might be adding time or making a comment or whatever. We try to put that time thing so that you can just easily do time. And the last point on that is the timer, the ticket timer. If you're not familiar with this, it's just this guy right here. It's on every ticket, so you can just click it and you get a little box that pops up, and it just starts running. So you can go through and keep track of your time there. And when you're done, this is and related to the other question, you can come in here and you can put a comment there. You can pause it. So if you're going to step away for a little bit and resume, and then you can submit that timer, and then it's going to put the comment. And then I didn't let it go long enough, but if I think it goes more than 30 seconds, it'll record a minute. But it'll record your time and put that on the ticket. This is not new. This was in RT5, but we did clean it up a little bit. Previously, it was like showing on most browsers that we tested with, it would show a scroll bar, and it just kind of was a little bit messy. So we just cleaned it up. It looks a lot nicer on most browsers that we tested with. I think there might have been one that for some reason sized it strangely, but we did clean that up a little bit. So another way to kind of have that set up. So um, there's a question about, is there a way to add internal comments not visible to the requester? Yes, that's the comment feature in RT. That's just the way that works. So reply typically goes to the requester, comment stays just internal. And there's also a config option, just to follow that question a little bit. There's a config option about showing time in self-service as well. And I think most of the time you don't want to, but I think there's a config option that you could show it if you want to. So that's related to time as well. So. All right, so that's some time stuff. And speaking of time, we got to keep moving. I got lots of good stuff to do, and we're already running out of time. So search and filtering, this is the great question that came through before. What we've done, so previously, this is referencing the search box up here. It's everywhere in RT pretty much. And what we've done is we've added a lot more fields for it to search. So previously, it searched the content of tickets, but what we mean by content is the stuff in the history of a ticket, all the stuff that's in the body. So stuff that came in with emails and replies and comments and all that kind of stuff. In RT6, starting in RT6, it now searches the content, it searches subject, it searches custom fields, and it searches that new description field. That was the question that came through. So yes, search does include the description field. So I've got some tickets here. We can do a quick demo. So I just have some, if I just search for oceans, I get a couple of results, and we can see right there, it's right in the subject. So that's probably why those got found. So the other note is, if you did not see it, and this is in RT5, and we've improved all of this in RT6, is there's filters right on your search results here. So what you can do, you can actually find a lot of information now, and we found our people internally are doing this a lot, if you can start a search, and we're going to show some more searching, but if you can start with a search there, you can come in and just filter here. So say I found that and I'm like, oh, I just actually want to see the projects queue. I don't want to see general. And I apply that. I can do a search with the box to start, and then I can use the filters. And what we're hearing internally is people are like, I can actually find my tickets without even going to the query builder a lot of times now, because if you can think of a good search term that narrows it down, you can then use your filters at the top and get down to the tickets that you want to find. So just a nice kind of combination of features there to mention as we're going through. So back to our search bar. So we've got a search that I did for oceans, and we found some tickets. And if we go in, and I'm just going to take a look at this ticket, and we have a custom field on here that is ocean. It's got the different oceans in it, and it's just I've got values on different components, all the ones that I mentioned. So we did oceans. That's in the subject. So let's do Atlantic. You can see I have done that search before. And we come in and it finds that ticket. So it found that ticket because it's the value of the custom field in there right now. So it's the Atlantic is selected for ocean. So it found the custom field. That's the only spot that it has. And maybe you're scanning the page right now looking. We got another one right here. So let's try Arctic. So if we do Arctic, we can search on that and it finds that ticket. And that is the only place on that ticket that Arctic is mentioned is in the description. So description is available in there in the search. And then if we go down and we have the Indian Ocean is down here and that is in the body. And this is how it worked before, right? So this is how things worked previously. So if I search on that, again, it finds the ticket. So all those different areas now are searched. So it should be easier to find things. What doesn't change is like, it's just like Googling for things. If you search for something that's super common, like the word ticket or something, like you're just gonna get, thousands of results, right? So it doesn't actually help that. But if you think a little bit like, just like Googling, when you Google something, you're like, oh, I need to think of something a little bit unique to help narrow things down. It's the same here. If you can think of a term, something related to maybe a conversation or whatever it was about that ticket that makes it unique, that, if you can think of that, that's going to help you obviously find, narrow things down and find that ticket that you're looking for. And same functionality as before, it defaults to active tickets, but you can, put stuff on here to say like any or inactive or whatever, to find additional tickets. So that's all the same as it was. It's just that first search term, we just search in a lot of different areas. And all of those have the description field and the custom fields have full text search if it gets set up correctly. That's something as part of the upgrade you want to set up those full text searches, and those will do it should be fast in your database even if you have a lot of content in those. So that's part of the setup when you upgrade is to set up those new searches in the backend. All right. So that is searching. Again, it's a quick slide, but some big improvements, and curious to get some feedback on that as people start to sort of play around with that. And just checking the questions here. Yes, you should still use full text search, absolutely, because we're still doing the content. And we're full text search is that there's a new index on the description field, and then there's a new index on the custom fields. So you're going to definitely want full text search on all of those just to keep it fast because it's still searching a whole ton of content. The full text search. So yeah, searching in the body of the ticket. That's what I showed with Indian there. It's full text search. We use the capabilities of the database. So it's whatever the database can provide. So that has not been. In terms of searching that content, it hasn't been changed. So it's the same as it was before. So if you have full text search set up, so it should work well for typical sort of Word type content. And we're using the same capabilities of whatever database you use in those other fields as well. So Sphinx, good question about Sphinx. We actually have not really actively supported Sphinx for a long time, and we actually removed all of it in 6 because we're just using the default. So Sphinx was a indexing feature that was for MySQL before MySQL added full text search. Once MySQL added it, we just started to use the database feature. So MariaDB, MySQL, Postgres, they all have full text search just as part of the database, and we just use the core database features. So yeah, we don't use the Sphinx is not available anymore. And it might have worked. I think some people were still using it maybe in RT5, but we weren't really actively supporting it. And we removed that in 6. All right. So that's searching. Scripts for assets and articles. So scripts are kind of the automation engine behind tickets. So they send notifications and they allow you to like have all sorts of automated things that happen. And they were only available previously on tickets. And it's every transaction that runs, that's when scripts run. And so it's kind of it was a big change in the background to add this to other things, but we did it. So now assets and articles have scripts. So if you use assets, this is probably really exciting for you. So if we just go into the scripts section, there's this now. So you can see scripts of 3 different types. So I can go in and say, show me some assets. So you can see I have an asset script here. So let's just go ahead and quickly create an asset. And maybe it's a MacBook or a Mini. Just pick from my list here. I'm not going to set anything else. So I have a custom date field here, allocated date, set up on this particular asset. I just put it in the date section, but this is a custom field. And if you're not familiar, assets have life cycles just like tickets, so they can kind of go through. So they start off at new. And what I can do as one of the standard, just the default life cycle that comes with assets, you can allocate. And this is like I took the MacBook or the Mac Mini and I gave it to somebody. So if I go ahead and I click on allocate, you can see allocated date got set. And that's what the script is. That's the script that I created as the demo here. That's this one on top. So very similar to, for the admins out there, very similar to the scripts that you would do for tickets. You can write custom stuff in these boxes. We're going to have more default ones in the future. We just needed to get the core functionality in there for the RT6 initial release. And it does work, but we'll have more stuff that's available like in the dropdown. So there'll be more things that you can do. And some of that's through interacting with customers. We get ideas for things. But this particular one, you see the commit code. The main difference, and this is for the users out there, apologize, this is the only code I'm going to show. You get an asset object rather than a ticket object. So that's mainly the big change. Everything else is very similar. So I'm just calling that and updating the allocated date, basically setting it to now. So simple example, but it allows you to see that, yeah, assets now have scripts. So pretty exciting for the asset users out there. Okay, now here's the big one. We now have custom page layouts for tickets and assets, and this is going to get to the answer to that question about the description field. Where is that description field? How do I get that description field? So one of the big questions we would always get for many years is, oh, this is great, the ticket display page, but can you hide this, or can you show this, or can you move this, or can this go up here? Can this go down here? All those sorts of questions like that. Now, the answer is you can do it. So you come into admin, you see this new menu here, page layouts. So there's this new configuration that allows you to go in. You can see the create, display, and update layout. So what is that? Well, when you work with tickets, there's basically 3 kind of main pages. This is the create page where you just go in and say, I want to create a ticket. And then the display page is the one I've been kind of looking at. It's the one that you look at when you just, go to a ticket. It's kind of the edit page now too with inline edit, but it's the sort of the display edit page. So this is what we mean by the display page. And then update is the one, it's reply comment. This is the update page. This is what we refer to as the update page, or you might think of it as the reply page or the comment page. But those are the 3 really kind of the core ones when you think about when you work with tickets. Those are the 3. So those are the 3 that you can now set these custom sort of layouts for. So let's go ahead and look at display. So I go into this new admin page and it's got all of the saved layouts that I have. So if I go to default, this is what the new configuration and layouts looks like for that default page that you've always seen in RT. So this is how it kind of is laid out. You've got the metadata at the top, history at the bottom, and these are all of the different components. So when we created this new system, we basically started off with the default being what you're always used to. So when you upgrade to RT6, we didn't scramble everything all over the place. It's still going to look just like you're used to when, after you do your upgrade, everything's going to be fine. But it's all configurable and it's got this new system behind it. Now, if we go look at a different one, I have one here, this project ticket display, completely different. Right? So if I come in, you've got all of your widgets here to the left. These are all the different components that you can see on a ticket page. And then over here, you create rows and then you can create columns in those rows. So top row, again, just metadata, and then the history in the bottom. And then this is where you go in and you can select how many columns you want, and you can also set how wide you want the columns to be. So completely configurable. Whatever it is that you want to do, you can go in and set it up. Changing things, you just grab them and you slide it around and you change it. So if I want times to be on top of dates, I just drag it and change it. If I want people to be below my custom field groupings, I just change that, come down here and I save. And if we jump over to, let me just open up a new tab here. And we want to go to that project queue. So this is the page. So you can see time, dates, custom fields, people. Oh, you know what? Changed my mind. I actually like the dates on top, and I actually like the people where it was before. I can flip those back, save it, come back and click my display and reload it. And there we go. Dates are back where they were. People are back where they were. So now you have full control, configuration. You can go in, move things around, set things up. You can make these pages look just the way you want it. And there's your answer on the description. That's how I got the description in there. It is a new component. So if you want to use it, you can go in and if you can just add it to whichever of the page layouts you decide that you want to use description. And that's what I meant by if you have never needed description, you can just leave it. If you want it, you can go in and put it wherever it is that you want on the given pages, the create page, the display page, or the update page. You can put it on all three. You can put it on one, whatever it is that you want to do, and you can put it wherever it is that you want to put it on the page. Quick note about if we jump over to the create page, one change that we made here. So for years and years, the create page had a couple of links up here, and it was basics and details. And that details link on the create page, if you clicked on it, that's where dates were and like priority was over there. And I think links were over there. Nobody ever clicked on that details. Nobody even knew about it. We would do trainings and I would show that and everybody's eyes would get wide. They're like, I never knew that was there. So that's not great to have a feature that's so hidden that people don't know about it. So that is gone. You can see no links up here, but all of those components are now available in that page layout for your create pages. So if you always, maybe you used to create tickets and you'd go to the create page and create it, and then you'd go into the ticket after you created it and go in and set the due date. Maybe if you did that, now you can just put dates right on the create page and put it wherever you want. If you always set a due date, move it up a little bit, like put it near the top, right? And it'll always be there. And there's not this secondary page that's kind of hidden. So that is one change. Kudos to anybody who used that details and would flip back and forth, but now we can just get it all on one page, and you can set things up the way you want. So that again, if your common workflow is subject and a description and then a due date and as priority, which is these are things that I do, and now they're all super convenient because they're all right there on the page. And just to show that different layouts. So if I pick the queue here, so I'm in this one queue. If I pick the projects queue, if you watch the page, completely different page layout, right? Because I have a custom page layout set up for projects. How do these get applied? So they're a separate configuration item, and then what happens is you go into your queues, and if you click on it down at the bottom of this, the basics page in your queue configuration, that's where you set them. So now there's for queues and for catalogs, same way. You're going to have your list of all of the available create pages layouts, and you pick your layouts right here. Once you select that and save it, that queue will now use that page layout. So this also lets you experiment. This is what we did when we first cut this loose for everybody. We had a couple of staff who had rights, and they went in and they just started going crazy with these page layouts. And they were able to create a new layout, try it for like a day, and then go in here and just kind of flip it back if it kind of wasn't working out, and kind of put it back to maybe a previous one, or change things up. So super easy to change as you go through. Also, because they're saved as a separate unit, you can apply it to one or more queues. So say you come up with a new layout that's really good for a certain type of workflow, it's almost like life cycles. You might go in and say, okay, I got 5 queues that are really similar. You just go in and just update those queues to use the new page layout. So super cool system to allow you to go in and do this. Again, everything I showed is for assets as well. But yeah, we think this will be super useful. And then thinking forward, this allows us to add new like widgets and components in the future. It also allows extensions to add components that you can then drop in. And we actually have updated a few extensions. There's one, repeat ticket adds a component like a widget to the page. So that's now available through page layouts, and you can go in and put it wherever you want on the page. So extensions will be able to do this as well. And again, we expect that we'll be adding new widgets in the future because we can just add a new widget in a new version and say, hey, if you want this, you can go drop it on a page and start using it if you want to. So super exciting new feature. We've been having a lot of fun with it. And this will be something that we will continue to work on and improve as we go ahead. We weren't done there though. We saw the cool layouts that we were able to do on page layouts, and we thought, you know what, we should really do the same thing on dashboards. This is something people have been asking about. Like, I really want more flexibility on dashboards. I want to be able to make the columns different sizes instead of just the one big one and the one small one on the right. So you can do that now too in RT6. You can come in and set whatever you want. You see, I've got three columns across the top here, and then I've got two on the bottom. And all of this is available. If I just click on content here, same interface, basically. You can come in, all of your different widgets are available over here. You just drag them over. You can change the order. You can change the number of columns. You can change the width of those columns, whatever it is that you want to do. And again, it's just drag and drop to move the things over. This one, and this is like previous with dashboards, there's tends to be a lot of stuff there. So you can just search and it'll help you find stuff. So that's pretty useful as you go through. You can really quickly narrow down, especially if you're trying to do safe searches and you remember the name of your safe search. Really easy to go in and quickly find your safe searches and your charts and things like that. Um, uh, just general question about auto creating a child ticket. There is a way to do auto create tickets in RT. It's a create ticket action that you do through Scripts. A little bit out of the scope of what we're going through today, but yeah, the feature is there. It's create ticket action in Scripts. And if you search on that, that might help you find some more details on that. All right, so that's dashboards. You can see I just kind of put that one dashboard right in the top of the menu there. So same sort of now flexibility and configuration that you can set up with dashboards is sort of the same system as you can do with pages. So we think that's actually super, super useful as well. We've gotten this request for a long time. We're so happy that we can now do it in RT6. And this is another one that people are having a lot of fun with, setting up dashboards with just all different size stuff and all sorts of different things. And this is another one too where we can add new widgets in the future to make that interesting and exciting. So how do I get all this cool stuff? Well, it's out. It's available. There's a demo available at try.requesttracker.io if you just want to click around. If you want to have your own, you can sign up for a trial. Just go to requesttracker.com. You can click on the Give Me a Trial button. We're happy to set one up for you. Source, GitHub, you can always do that. Upgrade scripts are in there just like usual. We provide hosting and support if you didn't know that. And then we take care of all the upgrades. Right now we're doing free data migration. So if you have an existing RT, we'll figure out a way to get that up into our hosting, into our cloud, if that's something that you might be interested in. And we've been doing questions as we go along. Really appreciate all of the interaction. We got about 2 minutes left. So if there are any more questions, happy to field those right now. We'll give it just a minute since that's about all we have left. If you're not familiar with our forum, we have a public forum where you can just go and post questions. It's pretty active. It's always exciting every day to see people in there. We're starting to see RT6 questions come in there. So there are people out there upgrading. So that's kind of exciting to see. So they're already getting some discussion about that over there. It's also where we announce things. So if you don't know about the forum, that's where we, like when new versions come out, we actually had betas available for RT6 for early testing, and that's where we announce that. So there's an announcements sort of channel in the forum, so you can subscribe to that if you want to get information there. We also have like a kind of like a newsletter thing on the website if you go sign up, where we send out information. So if you just want to stay up to date about just new releases, things like that going on. We don't send a lot of email to it. It's not super heavy. Maybe one a month at the most. Maybe a little more active right now because we got a lot of news with our T6, but typically pretty low volume, so you won't get spammed with a lot of stuff. All right. Well, we are right at the end of the hour. Thanks so much for everybody who joined and attended. We were really happy with the turnout. We had a lot of people sign up, so that's always exciting for us. Any questions, let us know. You can always find us requesttracker.com. And we'll be posting this video. So if you have some people that you know of that may have missed it and want to see some of the features, we will make it available. And we're at the end. So thanks very much for everyone for attending.